guys, how you doing? Geoff here. Today I'm going to talk some Dune. Now, before we get started, this is not meant for kids. This is somewhat of an adult topic. It's about a topic I love, the series of Dune. Now, before we get into the white elephant in the room, I want to give you some background on me and how Dune affects me and what I know about Dune. I have seen the 84 Dune. I've seen the director's cut that's 4 hours long. I saw the 6-part miniseries of Dune in 2000. I've seen the Children of Dune miniseries done by Sci-Fi a couple of years later. I have read almost every single book, except like the last 2 or 3 that have been written in the last couple of years. The one talking about Jessica during the times of Dune Messiah and all that. I haven't quite read those yet, but I've read about 90% of all the books. So I know the lore almost inside and out. I know Dune. So when I give you my point of view, this is not a slam on Jeremy, because I know he doesn't know a lot. No offense to you, Jeremy. I know something about something. And I want to set the record straight, and we will talk about Elephant in the Room right about now. Okay, now here we go. Bounding in the comments has this: Sharon Dinkin Brewster confirmed as race and gender swap Leah Kynes induced, plus LB Heather and Kara still won't be woke. I'm going to stop right there, and I'm sorry, Bounding in the comments. I know Ichibaka does this. No. 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 And I'll explain why. Okay, now, going into the article. Look, I know people have a certain built up, and as Quinn from Quinn's Ideas pointed out, now if you want a guy who knows the mythology of Dune inside out, I highly suggest you go check out Quinn's Ideas and watch some of his videos. This man knows about 10 times more than I do, and I know almost about everything. But he even pointed out, Kynes is a very, very small character. He has some impact, but at best he's tertiary. In fact, Quinn brought up the fact of Leah Kynes is more of a plot device. Look, he has a couple of major beats, and we're going to go into some spoiler territory here, but the story's been out since 1965. The movies and all have been out, so if you don't know, well, here's your spoiler warning. Kynes has 3 beats. Number 1, he's Chani's parent. As long as they nail that, it's okay. Number 2, it's just expository dumping about the planet Arrakis, aka Dune, and the Fremen and sandworms. Basically, he's the planetary ecologist. He's not a big factor. Number 3, he dies halfway through the book. Basically gets thrown out into the desert without a still suit. A sandworm kills him and they find his body later, which lets Chanies know that her parent is dead. As long as they hit those beats, it does not matter if Leah Kynes is a man or a woman. It literally does not. It makes no difference. So, screeching about this, especially from a Dune fan, this is a big fat nothing burger. This is nothing. You guys are freaking out much ado about nothing. And to Jeremy at Geeks and Gamers, it's Leah Kynes. Treat the Y as an I. It's Kynes. Now, moving along. Blah, 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 blah. Yes, played by Max von Sydow. Yes, he's described as this. But, again, yes, he's described as all that. But Leah Kynes doesn't do much. You can make him a woman. Nothing about the story changes. Still Chani's parent. Still an ecologist. Still has the thing where he explains the Mahdi legend to Paul Atreides. You still see him or her with the sandworm the first time we see a sandworm. Nothing, literally, changes. You see, a lot of times, at Fandom Menace, we freak out every time something has even the slightest bit of change. Now, if it seriously affects the story, like, for example, if they made Duncan, Idaho a woman, okay, the entire story throughout the entire book series completely and drastically changes, and we got some serious problems. You can't change people like Duncan Idaho, Leto, Paul Atreides, Chani, yada, yada, yada. Certain people, you cannot change. Certain people, it doesn't freaking matter. Hell, if you want to make it through for your Gurney Halleck woman, might change a little bit, but not much. In fact, it wouldn't change the story really at all, because once you hit the same beats, doesn't matter. So, yeah, it does not matter. And this is from a person who loves Dune. Kynes is almost inconsequential. Besides his major character beats, and as long as they don't change that, the story does not change. That's some of the reasons why I'm not freaking out about this. Is it a bit of a red flag? Sure. But it's not really anything. Now, moving right along. Now, the whole why shouldn't Kynes be a woman? Nah, again, small red flag, but it's one of those, it doesn't matter either way. I'm sorry, guys. It really doesn't. Blah, 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 blah. Honestly, there's stuff right here. I think he's dog whistling to the SJWs and the critics so they don't completely destroy his movie and drop the critic score. Basically, we're in current year 2020. SJW identity politics are still a thing, and he still has to play the game so he can do his movie. And to change someone like Kynes, who's really kind of inconsequential to the story overall, besides having some things that help the story along, changing characters like that, it's what we call in Star Trek GNDN, goes nowhere, does nothing, as far as that change. Now, about this part right here. This is actually correct, because if you look at the 1984 and even the 2000 versus the actual book, Baron Harkonnen is a joke. He's a freaking joke. He's a caricature. Dune Move is completely 100% accurate in this. He wants to bring some dimension, and I think that's a really good idea, because Baron Harkonnen, that guy is the guy who has plans within plans. He is smart. He is cunning, and in his prime was one of the most beautiful men. A little bit of backstory about Baron Harkonnen. But, yeah, Villeneuve, perfectly on point with this point. Well, sorry, I should point that way, because everything's all backwards. Sorry, guys. But Villeneuve, completely on point with this. Let's go down a little bit farther. Now, this whole part right here, absolutely true. 100%. Villeneuve is understanding the character. She's a mother, she's a concubine, she's a soldier, she's a priestess. She's Bene Gesserit. Now, if you haven't caught Quinn's ideas, or back then ideas of Ice and Fire, about the Bene Gesserit, I highly suggest you go do. And if I get enough, ideas about, wanting to hear more about the Bene Gesserit and the politics, and there's so much to unpack about Dune, I will be more than happy to do it. But this right here, this is totally fine, as long as it doesn't go too far in the more martial aspects, because the Bene Gesserit like to act a little bit more behind the scenes, but they are entirely capable of martial action. It's fine, guys. This is totally fine. This is completely in line with what Frank Herbert portrays in the book. In fact, spoiler again, Jessica, along with Paul, are the ones who completely train the Fremen in the ways of the Bene Gesserit fighting style. The Weirding Way. Sorry, I had to think about that for a minute. The Weirding Way, which you see in both the 84 version, though the Weirding Way of the 84 version is completely wrong, and the 2000, where it's more movement and controlment of your body to do, feats that we would consider superhuman. That's the Weirding Way. That's the Bene Gesserit. That's their fighting style, and they teach it to the Fremen, because Paul also knows it, because Jessica's taught her son. So to say that, she's not a complete and utter badass beyond something like Sarah Connor, yeah, this is totally fine. This is not SJW. This is just defining the character of Jessica Atreides, which she is. See, this is what happens when people who don't understand the mythos, the mythology, everything behind Dune make something like this. Sorry, Ichibaka, I don't mean to criticize you, but I kind of have to, because you got this all wrong, bruh. You got this really wrong. You should have consulted someone like me or Quinn's ideas, and we would have told you, dude, it's okay. It's fine. Yeah. Yeah, but again, this is true. This line right here is one of the most spot on lines about Dune. Politics, ecology, spirituality, the whole gambit. Because the central part of Kynes' character, he's a planetologist, an ecologist. He studies the planet's ecology and all that. That is central to the plot device character of Kynes. So when he says it covers all this and then some, he is 100% right. So grinding in the comments and people who are running with this like, oh my god, the world's on fire, it's SJW. No, it's just true. If you've never read the book, I highly suggest you do, and then you come back to this and go, okay, you guys are going a little overboard. So, to the white elephant in the room. This right here, nothing burger. Doesn't even faze me. Everything else he said, basically true. I'm sorry. If you haven't seen Dune or read the books, you know basically everything he's saying is generally true. Now the whole, now this part right here, Anthony Burson writes, I think Greta Thunberg, she's only a Jedi from Hogwarts. Yeah, that's not him saying that. That's a writer, and that's dumb. No. No. Paul Atreides is nothing like Greta Thunberg. Yeah. And that is kind of true. This line right here, today things are just words, the coming of age story, but also a call for action for the youth. Yeah, Dune is. I'm sorry. He's speaking truth. See, if you just take it at face value, if you don't, like I said before, don't know the mythos, the understanding of everything that goes on behind Dune, you're shooting yourself in the foot. But anyways, let's wrap this up. To be perfectly fair, there might be a valid criticism on the whole thing of changing Dr. Leah Kynes, especially if they're talking about, oh, look at this diverse cast. The Fremen, which are a bunch of basically futuristic Persians, and kind of Islam, kind of infused with Taoism, Buddhism a little bit, kind of. It's not exactly like ours. And you also have to remember that this time takes place. Dune takes place in the year 10,191 AD. So yeah, there is that. So great comment, like below, do all that fun stuff. Let me know what you think. Let me think if my ideas are dumb or this, that, and the other. And I'll catch you all next time. Y'all have a good one.